My name is Ricardo Brown. It is an honor to be invited to be a part of the ACIC board. I just want to give a few remarks to talk about my own history. As a biology graduate, I thought I wanted to go to medical school. And if I went to medical school, I wanted to be a cardiologist or a vascular surgeon. But then as I got closer to graduating, I wasn't sure. And I took a year out after graduating from college, and I worked for a cardiologist in Miami. And what I saw was amazing, the number of people that were in and out of his service. He did diagnosis, cardiac catheterization to determine the extent and level of coronary occlusion. And I said, that's it, I want to be a researcher. I don't want to be a medical doctor. So I went through that pathway. Ironically, I went to Howard, got my PhD in physiology and biophysics. I'm a cardiovascular physiologist, as was mentioned. My area of expertise is electrophysiology. And it just so happened that Dr. Oki trained in the same lab and had the same mentor that I did several years prior. Okay? And so I too knew in the late 70s and the early 80s that cardiovascular disease was the #1 killer of all Americans. It still is. Okay, and so that I think is a tremendous opportunity for a think tank like this to define its own agenda rather than to have the agenda defined by others. Okay, and so when we look at PAs and RFAs and RFPs that come out of NIH, that's really tailored to where they're going. All right, and so we have an opportunity to shape, really, as it relates, as he mentioned, to African Americans and people of color, what is our agenda and where do we see the opportunities? One of the largest, as you all know, studies of heart disease is the Framingham study, right? The Framingham study. But that study, the cohort is mostly what? White. Right? And we know over time, and as we've learned, there's a genetic sort of predisposition to certain diseases. Okay? And as a result of that, NHLBI, fast forward, recognized that, and they started the Jackson Heart Study. So I'm the dean of the College of Public Service at Jackson State University. I commute back and forth. I still have my home here in Washington. We have programs in public health, but we have 2 of the Jackson Heart Study grants in our college. Okay? The Jackson Heart Study has been funded 3 times, so that means it's been in existence for 15 years. Okay, and so now we're accumulating a lot of information about cardiovascular disease in minority populations. And so now we can say, okay, what did we learn from Framingham and what have we learned from Jackson Heart Study? And what's the difference? And the difference may be genetic. Okay? And so I think, again, here's an opportunity for us to take information that comes out of these 2 studies that we can compare and say, hey, this is a direction potentially that we might want to pursue. So we can focus on setting our own research and public health agenda. And I think that's a tremendous opportunity of a think tank like this. Dr. Oki, let me say one more thing about Dr. Oki. I met him over 15 years ago as a graduate student in a lab that I trained. And I was asked to be on his dissertation committee by several at Howard. I found him to be a very intelligent and studious and dedicated person. Things go around full circle. I hadn't seen Dr. Oki in maybe 14 years, okay? And I serve on the board of the United Medical Center, the only primary care hospital east of the Anacostia River. And what do we deal with? We deal with indigent care, okay? And UMC and Howard. So if you're on that side of the river, it'd be great if you had the services to go to UMC, right? But UMC didn't have a lot of primary care services. So as a board member, one day we're introduced to new physicians that joined the hospital. One of them was your own Dr. Oki, and he started the cardiology practice at the United Medical Center. So I think that the organization is in good hands. I see a lot of old friends and colleagues, and I'm anxious to get to know you more, Dr. Singh. And again, thank you so much for the opportunity, and I'll turn it over.